So we are back in Niles, the antique district, and we are going hunting for some comics. The great thing about this trip was that it was actually my wife's idea. We hit this place up the other day, I think it was last week, and she suggested that we actually come back and do it all over again. So we're gonna head inside into various shops that we did not get a chance to visit last time, and hopefully we are going to find some awesome books. Shot?
They need to make sure I exist.
That's funny. So we are wrapping up here in Niles. There were, I think, 4 comic shops or antique shops that we had not hit during our last trip. And we hit those. We came up empty-handed. There was one shop that we were successful in getting some books in last time that we hit again. And there was one book that I really needed for my run of Amazing Spider-Man. Unfortunately, when taking that book out of the plastic, I realized that there was a tear on the back side. And so that book went back on the shelf along with the others that I was going to buy if I had purchased that book. So we are wrapping up here. We're going to enjoy a little bit more free time away from our kids. Maybe go get some coffee or get some food or something like that. She does exist, people. I am back in the comic book room, and I was all prepared to show you guys the books that I picked up as part of that hunt in the antique district. But unfortunately, I didn't get any books all day. The wife and I still had a blast spending time with each other. We got some coffee, we got some pizza, and we spent some quality time together going through various antique shops, laughing and joking. And that was time well spent. But as far as the takeaway of comics, there really wasn't any. I found some books, but didn't really like what I was finding. We thought that we were going to score big when in one of the shops, there was a woman that was selling vintage stuff that had been left behind by her husband, who she put out after she found out that he was cheating. So we thought that we were going to score big. We walked this woman to her car. We retrieved 2 bins of comics from her car to help her get them to this one shop that we happened to be hunting in when we met her. We had a chance to go through the bins and there was nothing. We really struggled trying to figure out what this guy's interests were. Like, most collections have some kind of focus. Superhero, prequel horror, independent, DC, Marvel. There is typically some kind of theme or thread that you can identify. And I can tell you, I don't know what this dude was into. It was the most hodgepodge collection I have ever seen. It was totally piecemeal. The woman had actually gone through and labeled every single book in the collection, which I think probably took her a considerable amount of time because she probably had to do lots of searches to identify these books, because to be honest with you, there was at least one bin I didn't recognize one title in the entire bin. I found one Spider-Man book in another bin, but it wasn't even worth making an offer on one single book because she was looking to move the entire, collection. So we thought we were going to strike gold, and we didn't. We didn't find anything. So I was thinking about this video, and I'm like, how do I wrap this video up? I shot all this footage, but I have nothing to show for it. But let's be honest, sometimes that's what happens. You go out and you hunt in places that maybe you've never been before, and sometimes you walk away with something, sometimes you walk away empty-handed. But I didn't want to leave you guys hanging, right? So, because it is Batman's 80th anniversary, 80th birthday, however you want to look at it, hashtag long live the bat, I thought that I would show you guys some books that I haven't shown you in previous videos that I picked up several weeks ago. And all of these books, to the point that I just made, are all Batman related. You guys know that I recently started reading some Batman books. I'm getting into it, and that's part of the reason why I picked up these books that I'm about to show you. So there is a nice stack of books here, and I'll kind of tick off the significance of these books just in case someone's not familiar with it for whatever reason. So the first two books are actually McFarlane. I found out not that long ago that Todd had actually done some Batman work. And so I picked up a couple of his covers because, Todd reminds me of my childhood. So one of the first books that I picked up is Detective Comics 576. And this is a pretty cool cover. I definitely dig it. I don't know what that is. I don't know what you call that. It's not a sickle. I'm not quite sure what that is, but it is definitely a cool cover. I kind of dig the blue and the orange. That's a new for me, if you will, but I kind of dig it. The other book that I picked up from Todd is 578 Detective Comics. Another pretty cool cover. My guess is most of these probably have that cover, the coloring, that's a guess on my part. But these are Batman Year 2. The first one was Part 2, and then this is Part 4. I don't know much about Year 2. I've heard a lot about Year 1, but not much about Year 2. So I'm curious if you've read it. Let me know what your thoughts are on this story arc. Let me know if it's worthwhile tracking down those other books. But those were some I was able to get, again, because they're Todd, and I decided to pull the trigger. Now, this next stack of books I have actually heard a lot about. After reading A Death in the Family, I asked for some recommendations, and one story arc that was pretty consistent with many of the people that commented was Hush. And so and part of the reason why I really wanted to get Hush is because of Jim Lee. I think this entire stack of books is associated with Jim Lee. So this first one is, I think, where Hush actually starts. So it is Batman 608 and a Jim Lee cover. This is actually the first appearance of a mutated Killer Croc. So that is the start of Hush right here. Here is issue 609. This is the first Thomas Elliot, who I guess goes on to become Hush. Here is 610, and I'm guessing maybe that's Killer Croc. Maybe that might be the mutated Killer Croc. Correct me on that if I'm wrong. Next up is Batman 611. I think this is the issue where Catwoman and Batman share a kiss. I'm guessing that they may have kissed before. I'm not quite certain, but I think that's what I read on this one, was that there was a kiss that was shared here. Next up is 612, and this is a classic cover by Jim Lee and also a classic battle between Batman and Superman. Next up is 614, and this is a classic battle between Joker and Batman. Another great cover by Jim Lee. Next, we have Batman 617, and I can't remember. No, I don't think there's anything significant in this other than it being a part of the Hush story arc. Next up, we have 619, and I think this is the first Hush. Love red covers, and this is a nice red tinted cover, so I definitely dig that. And then the next I actually have, I guess this is a variant, maybe it's cover B, I'm not quite sure of the terminology back then, but this is 619 Batman. This is, again, the first Hush, and also put a note there that is also a variant. And then the last book that I'll show you, I think, is a reprint. It's the Hush double feature collecting issues 608 and 609. So I guess that's a reprint of some of the other books that I showed. But again, didn't want to leave you guys hanging, so I wanted to show you at least a couple of books as part of this video. So as always, I want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch. And if you are out there hunting for your own books, to each one of my comic book soldiers, I want to wish you well in the hunt. And if there is anything that you need from me, feel free to reach out to me at reggiecollects@gmail.com and Regie Collects on Instagram. Take care.